Okay, you can begin speaking when you see the icon.
All right, looks like we're live. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome to our release kickoff for milestone 16.0. I Googled and then I used large language models to come up with a bunch of 16 related jokes, and none of them were very good. So I'm just going to skip that. Maybe it doesn't work for everything, but hi, I'm Justin. I'm not David, as you notice. David is traveling. So if you happen to be in Amsterdam for KubeCon, go look for him and say hi. Tell him you were watching the live stream, and his team was doing an awesome job kicking off 16.0. So I'll be your host for today, and I'm joined by some of my favorite colleagues on the product leadership team, and I'll list them off in the order that they're presenting. So first up, we have Melissa Ushakov, who's our group product manager for Plan, and she's going to provide updates on the dev section. We have Sam White, who's going to provide updates on the secure section, Mike Flouten for ops, Taylor McCaslin for data science, and then Josh Lambert will bring us home for the enablement section. At GitLab, we plan ambitiously, and we're focused on delivering value iteratively through our product investment themes for fiscal year 24. So I'll read those to you now. First off is building a world-class DevSecOps experience, which includes first-class usability and additional collaboration features, in addition to AI-assisted workflows. We want to provide advanced security and compliance, adding depth to our ultimate offering, bringing software supply chain security to the forefront of software development. We're going to bring observability, analytics, and feedback into our DevSecOps platform, empowering organizations to close the SDLC loop with user data. And then finally, GitLab for Data Science enables data scientists and data engineers into the DevSecOps platform, giving them the ability to benefit from all that DevOps has to offer today, including collaboration, reproducibility, and streamlined deployment into production. So before I hand it off to Melissa, I do have to state the public service announcement. On this live stream, we will be discussing our product roadmap, which includes upcoming features and functionality. It's important to note that the information presented is for informational purposes only. Please do not rely on the details discussed on the live stream for planning or purchasing purposes. We do plan ambitiously, as I mentioned, and so the details that we'll discuss here are subject to change. The timing of any products, features, and functionality remain at the sole discretion of GitLab. All right, with that over, I'll hand it off to Melissa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa, and I'm representing the dev section. Give me a second to share my screen. All right, so the dev section is comprised of manage, plan, and create, and we've got some really exciting stuff coming up. I'll start with our security theme, and we're expanding our recently introduced custom roles feature to now add view vulnerability report as a separate permission. So what this will allow you to do is to create a role that has or doesn't have this permission. And this gives you more fine-grained control over vulnerabilities to ensure that only the right team members have access to view and manage them. Now I'm going to move on to our world-class DevSecOps experience and talk about one of my favorite topics, work items. So we're continuing to iterate on this experience by adding new functionality based on your feedback. The first one is the ability to reorder work items in the child items widget. So you'll see a nice little GIF there that shows it. And you'll be able to see this in issues. You'll be able to reorder your tasks. And if you're using OKRs, which is behind the feature flag now, you'll see it there too. There's a couple of other improvements, like being able to mark a to-do as done from a work item or subscribe for notifications for one, emoji awards for work items, and viewing description diffs within system notes. Our goal is to continue to iterate on this experience of work items, which is what powers tasks and OKRs today, and to build an experience that covers all of GitLab planning objects, including issues, epics, and requirements in the future. 16.0 brings some really exciting GA features. The first one that I'll cover is value stream dashboards. If you haven't taken a look, this is in beta now, and this gives you insight into key metrics. Right now, it's focused on DORA and flow metrics, and you're able to see these metrics over time for different groups and projects. So this capability will be going GA this upcoming milestone, and we'll also be adding vulnerability metrics so you can get a more complete overview of the health of your organization. And the NVC for configuration of this dashboard, where you'll be able to define which metrics should appear and which groups and projects should appear to give you a more customized view. In the future, this will look a little bit different and will be in the UI, but this is our MVC version of that. If you haven't taken a look at it, like I said, it's available in beta, so go check it out. The next exciting GA is the Web IDE. This is, again, something that you will have seen. We've received great feedback, and based on that, we will be disabling the legacy IDE entirely and fully transitioning to this experience, and also adding support for VS Code extensions, configuring the extension marketplace URL, and be able to disable it altogether. The next step in this journey is to work toward an experimental release of a workspace feature. So this capability will allow you to define a workspace in a configuration file, provision it, use it GitLab agent for Kubernetes, and inject the Web IDE into that workspace. So it'll give you a fully remote development environment. Our goal is to make this available in this upcoming milestone. And the last GA that I'll announce is navigation. You may have noticed that I have the new experience turned on. The team has spent the last 9 months doing a major redesign, doing research, taking into account all of your SES feedback to improve this experience. In 16.0, you'll be able to toggle to this new navigation from a user profile setting. I'll highlight a few of the things that you'll see are different. One is we've rearranged items and reduced the number of top-level menu items to help reduce overwhelm. You have the ability to pin items. I'll show you that real quickly. If there's something that you access all the time, you can quickly bubble it to the top. There's easier context switching and a search overlay, and a new Your Work and Explore menus. So I encourage all of you to turn this on and check it out and give us feedback. The last thing that I'll highlight is that it is a major release, so there are quite a few deprecations, so please review them in this page. And that's it for the dev section.
Great, thanks, Melissa. On the sec section side, for the composition analysis team, we're preparing to deliver our first MVC of continuous vulnerability scanning this milestone. Once this is done, this is going to remove reliance on the CI pipelines, and it's going to allow us to scan continuously for new vulnerabilities. Our plan is to bring in our advisories into our database so that we can constantly compare that against the dependencies that are there in your project, so that as new advisories are reported, we can update that and alert or report on new vulnerabilities as soon as we have a new advisory. Again, our plan is to do this as an MVC for dependency scanning, and our plan is to extend that out as well to container scanning in the future. On the Threat Insights team, we're working to add an improvement to add bulk status updates for vulnerabilities in 16.0. So currently, you can bulk select vulnerabilities and you can dismiss them, but you can't change the status to other status settings besides dismissed. So this adds the ability to control what the status is. And we also plan to add the ability to add an explanation or a comment when you do these in bulk as well. Also on the Threat Insights side, we're planning to start work on a group and subgroup level dependency list. So where this was only available previously at the project level, the plan is to surface this up at the group and subgroup level so you can see your dependencies across all of your projects. On the security policy side, the team has been working for the past milestone or two to add the ability to require approvals based on role. So if you create a security policy that either is based off of licenses that are detected or based off of vulnerabilities that are detected in your merge request, previously you could only have either individual users or groups approve that. We now are planning to roll out and enable by default the ability for any role to act as an approver for that as well. And then on the compliance side, we plan to add the ability to emit instance level streaming audit events. This would give users the option to define where those audit events should be sent instance-wide and to cascade that setting down to subordinate groups. We currently have this available at the group and namespace levels already today, so this would add that for the instance level. Then lastly, the compliance group is working to add additional functionality into the new compliance framework report that they made available recently at the top level group. They're planning to add in this additional add framework button along with other quick actions, so you can easily click this X and remove a compliance framework label from a project, or just add a new framework right here in line in the table without being forced to use the bulk select in order to make those changes. And that's what we've got across the SEC section. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Mike.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. It's great to see so much progress on continuous vulnerability scanning and so much other goodness in the SEC section. So I am going to be talking about what's coming in ops. So I will share my screen and kick things off. So I'll take these in themes, much as the way Justin kicked the call off. So we'll start with creating a world-class DevSecOps experience. And on that front, a lot of good stuff coming across the ops section. I'm going to start with runners. So from a SaaS runner perspective, highlighted 3 priorities here that we're working on, all kind of leading towards improving that DevSecOps experience. First off, we're working on getting our Mac OS runners into production. So we want to start dogfooding them ahead of a deadline that's coming end of May as we migrate to Apple Silicon. So that's something that's coming. I'm going to come back to priority 2 later because it supports a different priority. And we're also working on improving our Linux performance because we have an OKR around improving build speed across the platform. So that's something we're working on there from a SaaS perspective. Staying on runners, also on the theme of improving our DevSecOps experience. From a runner core perspective, doing some really exciting work on auto scaling, specifically on Google Compute. So we're working on essentially an experiment that's ready for customers who want to start working with it and giving us feedback. So a lot of detail here in the issue. I do encourage you, if you want to start using that, please do explore the planning issue and get your hands on it. And we'd love to hear from you so we can guide our work on future iterations. So very excited there. On a topic that's very topical this week, moving on to environments and specifically Kubernetes, as our team is at KubeCon in Amsterdam. We're focused on continuing to iterate on the Kubernetes integration dashboard that we talked about last month. So we're working on our first iteration of that. It's going to be behind a feature flag and a closed beta. And as we open things up, we're going to be monitoring for performance impacts. We're being overly cautious with the deployment to ensure that we give the best possible experience to our customers. And our UX team has done some great work continuing to refine the design of the dashboard. So we're super excited about continuing to roll that out over the coming weeks and months. And finally, on the Kubernetes side of the house, we continue to iterate on our Flux integration strategy. So we've done some work to leverage webhooks to tighten up the integration. So this will lighten the administrative burden on users because generally there's a fair amount of setup and administrative that goes into this. So in this case, we'll be able to have some bidirectional integration as you're doing commits, having the agent be aware of that and being able to take action in the cluster. So I'd encourage you again to check out the planning issue. There's a lot more detail. Really excited about that work. And then rounding things out on our DevSecOps experience, I wanted to talk about pipeline execution and some work we're doing there. So we are making some usability changes that we think will make our customers' lives easier. So today, it's kind of some inconsistent presentation of how we're presenting review apps. So it's not always clear why the widget's there, and sometimes it isn't. So the team's going to be adding some add-on text to explain why the review app may not be there, and also adding a redeploy button, which will be super useful. And again, making your lives easier as you're using the platform. So super excited about that, and there's a little preview here of what's to come. Moving on to our second theme, GitLab for data science. I'm going to jump back to runners because this is an area where we're really excited as well. So we're going to be continuing work on GPU-enabled runners and getting those out to our customers. We've been dealing with some supply chain constraints that are pretty much industry-wide right now, but we are optimistic that we're going to have some progress in the next couple of weeks for you in terms of getting those launched and live. So we're really excited about that in terms of facilitating a better data science experience using GPUs. So exciting stuff there. And similarly, on the registry front, we're working to better support scale-up, which is a technology used by a lot of machine learning and data science teams, do things like big data processing and some text processing and serverless use cases. So we're going to offer better support for downloading of binary packages from the Maven repository. So we're super excited about that in terms of making people's lives easier. And I don't have a tab for this one, but we're also doing some work on the container registry side of the house. We're starting to plan the next generation of our container registry with some really cool features like online garbage collection. So there's more to come. Watch that space, but I did at least want to give you a preview that that work is going on over the next milestone. And then kind of rounding things out on our final investment theme of advanced security and compliance, wanted to take a look at what we're cooking up in the pipeline security team. So first off, the build artifacts, I think I'm actually, sorry, out of order here. That's all right. We are working on some usability changes. We're going to be doing things like bulk delete and better support for variables with a loading indicator and some better messaging. So you're going to see some really nice usability enhancements on that front. And finally, we'll continue to work to transition to cloud-supported JSON web token, which is the tab that I was on. And so that's work that's coming in the current iteration, as well as improving our audit logging in certain areas, particularly here with the CI job token setting. So that's something that's coming that should help provide a better security and compliance experience for all of you. So I went through that really quickly. That's just a select group of highlights. There's a lot more going on. Please do take a look and let us know what you think. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Taylor to talk about a topic that is on everybody's mind these days.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Hi, everyone. My name is Taylor McCaslin. I'm a group manager for our data science section. I'm going to start with our anti-abuse stage and talk about some updates here. To start, we are continuing to roll out identity verification. This is actively rolling out on GitLab.com right now for to not reveal kind of to attackers what we're doing. I'm not going to go into details about this, but know that we're improving the stability of GitLab.com as part of our fiscal year 24 product themes on observability, analytics, and feedback. On that same theme, we're also improving how abuse reports work on GitLab. Today, admins of GitLab instances, including GitLab.com, see something similar to this for abuse reports, where you can take very limited actions. You get very limited details about the abuse of the platform. We're in the process now of rolling out our abuse reports lists in VC and our details view in VC. Basically, what this is going to do is change that previous view to now link to specific details about all of the abuse reports that happen on GitLab instances. This now allows us to support more details to give abuse teams more information about what's going on, and we can support more types of abuse. This is an example of a profile being reported. This is an example of a comment being reported. So we now have much more flexibility in terms of how we manage abuse across the platform, leading to better understanding of what's happening on GitLab.com and other GitLab instances. Now moving over to our model ops stage, this product theme is focused on world-class DevOps experience. We're in the process now. We have code suggestions available as an open beta. Any Ultimate customer on .com can use code suggestions today. We're supporting VS Code via the GitLab workflow plugin today. We're now adding support for the new GitLab Web IDE, allowing you to get code suggestions as you type in the Web IDE. We're also in the process of actively retraining and tuning our large language models that support code suggestions. These are actively right now, as we speak, training on GPUs. We'll be improving continuously the quality of results from code suggestions. While I won't go into specific details here, we are also exploring other models to support various other machine learning and artificial intelligence powered features across GitLab. We're starting to share details about these experimental features on our blog. In this example, we've got explain the source code, where you can get code explanations for code views across GitLab. We're also doing issue summarization. As I mentioned, all of these experimental features are being shared on our blog every Thursday, so be sure to check our blog for more details on the features that we're exploring in this area. And with that, that concludes the data science section, and I'll now hand it off to Josh Lambert to cover enablement.
Thanks, Taylor. Those are some really exciting improvements. I particularly can't wait for the code suggestions and it continues to iterate, which is great to see. I'll be covering the enablement section here. And as others have mentioned, I'll be doing a lot more enablement other than what I've had a chance to highlight here. So please do take a look at the planning issues and kickoff items related above in the description of the issue. But I will jump into the highlights here and starting off with the search team and what they are working towards as far as improving our overall code search and making it more reliable and more complete as far as returning results that you're looking for in your code. We are right now working on the initial MVC, and we're up to the point of in this release working towards having it indexing and making available the GitLab-org family of public projects. This will allow us to dogfood internally, but also for all users who are curious about searching the GitLab code base, we'll be able to use it there. And then after that, we'll be moving towards supporting private projects, which will then allow us to support the betas that we'll have coming in the future. So very exciting there. And moving on towards the application performance team, we are working towards improving the observability of the real-time infrastructure stack that we have as part of the GitLab application. As we kind of roll out more and more features that utilize real-time features, we want to make sure that we have sufficient observability and telemetry coming back from these parts of the infrastructure. And so we're working to overall improve that. And it is important because, as you can see, for example, here, the number of seconds that the database is being utilized, the GraphQL and ultimately upstream is the real-time features are some of the highest users of our database. And so as part of that, we're also working towards improving the performance and scalability of real-time features. And we'll be focusing on a lot of the GraphQL events and other areas to help make sure this is more performant and, of course, scalable for as we continue to roll out new features on this functionality. Moving over towards our geo team, we are introducing what's called silent mode. And the goal of this feature is to allow users to better test, or administrators to better test their backups as well as their secondaries. So right now we have maintenance mode, which can allow you to put the instance into sort of a read-only method. But we're adding a feature which will allow you to put an instance into a silent mode where it will block outbound emails, webhooks, push and pull monitoring, and things like that. The idea is that you can take your backup, for example, restore it, put it in silent mode, and then make sure things work, or have simulate a severance between your primary and secondary instances, and then promote your secondary, and then make sure that works, of course. And the value of this feature is that that secondary or that backup test will not be emailing users, triggering actions, cloning things and things like that. And so you can do all this safely without having to worry about like firewall rules and all things like that, which can be quite complicated. Moving over towards our tenant scale group, we are continuing to work on the definition and experiments toward the initial MVC of what we're referring to as an organization. This is a new top-level entity which will unify the experience between our self-managed and our SaaS services, but also provide more of a clear boundary between what is part of an organization versus other organizations on the multi-tenant service like GitLab.com. Moving over towards the maintenance section of the house for enablement teams, we continue to work on the write-ahead logging features in Gitaly. This is critical for our new decentralized architecture for Gitaly cluster, which we're very excited about having a more reliable and easily managed service, but also provides potential improvements to what's referred to as a recovery point objective, or when the last time you can restore data to, because you can take, for example, your snapshot and then replay the write-ahead log up to a very, very recent point in time. So this is great for two reasons. From there, we are also working towards a new blueprint or architecture for how we handle object pools. Object pools are these things that allow us to, like, for example, deduplicate the content between forks and store them more efficiently, among other things. And so right now they're a bit hard to work with. They don't have great coverage. And so we're working on how we can improve that to allow us to move more quickly, but also improve and leverage their benefits more widely across a deployment. From there, on our database team, we are driving towards continuing to partition some of our larger tables. Large tables can be challenging for a number of reasons. For example, they drive a lot of CPU time because the indexes are very, very large. And so by partitioning them, we can see improvements and improve performance across the board for all features which utilize our database, which is almost all of them. So that's great. And last, on the database side, we are working to continue migrating between smaller primary keys on some of our older tables up to larger ones, just to continue to ensure that the platform can overall scale for many, many, many days and years beyond. So that's the database side of the house. And then last kind of warning here, or notification, we will be deprecating Postgres 12 and bumping the minimum version up to Postgres 13. We announced this back in GitLab 15.0. And so please do take advantage of this and upgrade your instance if you haven't already. As we'll be planning to leverage some PG-13 based features to take advantage of the new changes in the release and improve overall how we run our database. And so that's it here for enablement, and I'll hand it back to Justin to take us the rest of the way and wrap up the call.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. And thanks everyone for presenting. This is really going to be an awesome release, and I literally only have like 90 seconds. So I'm only going to touch on a couple of highlights that really stuck out to me. First being the GAs. So you heard from Melissa, we have the Web IDE GA, our navigation GA, and our value streams dashboard GA coming out in 16. I've been using all of these exclusively for the past few months, and so I'm excited to see them reach a wider audience. I'm excited about our Kubernetes dashboard, an environment page, very topical given this week is KubeCon, bulk status updates for vulnerabilities, code suggestions in the Web IDE, and then performance and scalability of GraphQL and real-time systems. That one will really be noticeable at scale, so I'm excited to see that one roll out as well. For advanced security and compliance, our MVC for continuous vulnerability scanning, group and subgroup level dependency lists. I've heard from a lot of customers that want it at that level, and then instance level streaming audit events. It'll be nice quality of life improvement for customers that want to configure streaming audit events that way. For observability, analytics, and feedback, I'd be remiss without mentioning again the value streams dashboard GA. That really is awesome, and it's awesome to see how quickly we've moved that one forward. And then abuse reports improvements. This one might be most beneficial to a lot of our GitLab team members who are running and maintaining the world's largest GitLab instance on GitLab.com. But it really is great seeing those reporting improvements there. And then finally, GitLab for data science, the identity verification work is really exciting. I've run into that one quite a bit. And then, this is one bullet, but many things. So I'm really excited about all of the AI features. The teams are building things that Taylor had mentioned, like explaining the source code or issue summarization. But I really encourage you all, as sort of a final note, to check out that blog series and follow along, because the teams are iterating very rapidly. And there's a lot of opportunities for y'all to test out those features. So to wrap up, thanks again. Please check out the release kickoff page. There's a full list of items there, everything we're working on this milestone, and encourage you to engage in the issues with the team. I was only able to touch on a couple small things, but this really is going to be a great release.